Draft meeting notes. Go for it.
All right. So Abe and I met on a plane, and it was straight after I got engaged, and he was sitting with his fiance. I was sitting with Simon down the back of the plane. Like I said before, we never sit down the back of the plane, and neither does Abe and Cora. However, today, this particular day, we're down in row, I don't even know, 29 or something horrific at the back of the plane. And I looked over and he was writing on a vomit bag, you know, the vomit bags that are in the plane. And he's busy writing, and I'm writing on one as well. My fiance's asleep, his fiance's asleep. And I looked over and I'm like, what do you do? Because I need to know who else writes on the sick bag on a plane. And we just started chatting, and it turns out that he's the owner of Phone King Australia, the big yellow and black brand in phones and accessories that you all, I'm sure, would recognize. So I brought him on to talk about his secrets of success and his success story, so that we can keep understanding and keep feeding into our minds about what success really is and what it means. And I think while we all know that success is a formula and it's something that everyone does the same kind of traits, they do it a little bit differently and they explain it a little bit differently. And I think the more people that we're exposed to and the different kinds of successful people we're exposed to, the more that message goes in and it really hits home with us, and we get that repetitive success story going on in our brain, and understanding that it doesn't matter which way we actually do it, as long as we do it. So Abe, I'm going to get you just to tell us your story, and we'll start there and see where we end up. And then towards the end, I'll ask you a few questions, and Joel may jump in as well and ask you a few questions too.
Perfect.
So take us away. Start at the beginning and tell us all about you.
My name's Abraham. I'm 25. Not 25. Sorry, I'm 35 at the moment. Sorry, 35. I started my business when I was 21. And one of the key reasons why I started my business was because nobody else would give me a job. It's a thing that I always say at the moment. It says it behind me. It says on the back there, I'm not an entrepreneur. I just gave myself a job, because at that stage, I actually didn't really believe in anything other than giving myself a job. I'm severely dyslexic, so I can't spell. My reading's really bad, and I suffer. Like when I see too many words on a page, I can't concentrate, so it really just shuts me down. But the only thing I knew I could do was sell, and customer service and reading people and talking to people was something that I could do really easy, and I didn't have to overthink it. So I left school, and then I said, you know what, everyone else is becoming a builder. I'm doing that. So turned up to a building site, started working there. But what I didn't realize is I still had to go to TAFE at that stage to do my builder's license. But you need to study for that. And I learnt really fast that the only subject that I'd pass was the first aid. So just had to do mouth to mouth. So after 2.5 years of doing a TAFE course, I realized that wasn't going to work for me. And then I started working in the mobile phone accessory game. Started working for someone, and back then the telephones were starting to get smaller. So I'm not sure if everyone remembers the Motorola V, when they started to get really, really small, and everyone's like, mobile phones, they're never going to exist again. They're disappearing. You answer your telephone by your fingers, and that was the story everyone was believing back then. And back then you'd actually put wood grain covers on your phone. You'd really like just change all these, like it was back when the 3315 was out, and you'd clip off your covers. So it was back then, and then the guy was shutting down, and then I thought to myself, I reckon I can do this. So I approached the shopping centre and said, hey, I've got an idea. I want to become the Phone King. Have I just switched off, guys, or am I still there?
Yes, still here. You're fine.
Yeah, perfect. So did that, and we just started the store. First up, it was just a little 15 square meter kiosk. It was in the middle of the shopping center, and it was just, there was no one else in front of me. I had no boss. I had no one else to stop me or to put boundaries in front of me. It was just me and the customer, and it was just, there was nothing holding me back. So it was just going for it. Customer service, talking to customers, engaging with customers, listening to what customers want, and actually actually trying to find a solution for every single customer, because I believe customers will spend money as long as you find a solution for them, or actually you're adding value of what you're actually offering. And it's not always about price. I've learned that a long time. It's not always about the price. It's about actually how you offer them the product and how it's benefiting them. So I worked really hard on my customer service. So then a year into my business, I was like, this is going to be a good idea. Let's open up another store. So I opened up in a place in New South Wales called Tuggerah. It's on the Central Coast. And it's Tuggerah Westfield. So that was a fantastic idea. There was a new shopping centre level that was opening up there, and we opened up in sunny Tuggerah. I realised we had a problem when we got up there, and customers were like, "Oh, sorry, my phone just got eaten by a horse. Can you help me?" And you realised we were just out of we weren't in Sydney anymore. The customer base was totally different. They didn't want all the pink. They didn't want all the crazy colours that we were selling in Sydney. They wanted like leather pouches. They wanted stuff to help them to protect their telephones. But what happened there real fast was all the shopping centres, all the shops around me started going broke, and they started shutting down really fast. So I was faced with every shop on my level was basically hoarded up, and we were the only little kiosk up there. And the only thing that helped us survive back then, I'm actually really grateful, that was my second store. We've got 13 stores at the moment, but my second store was a disaster. It was that bad that we had to actually just get an apartment up in the Central Coast, and we had to move our lives there and start living there and managing that. And I managed it with my sister. And so we'd have weeks on and weeks off, where she'd work at the one in Sydney and I'd work at the one up there. And I realised then that nothing was going to help me. I was stuck in a lease that was 5 years. And if you fail on your leases in the shopping centres, they take everything from you. You lose your shop, you lose your bank guarantees. And back then I had my parents' house as the guarantor. So I realised really fast that I had to act, and the only way I was going to act was by action, not feeling sorry for myself, and actually just making it happen. So Tuggerah was one of the best blessings but disasters that has happened in my business life, because I realized the only way that I was actually going to get through the hard times was actually hard work and being there. And 7 days a week, I did it all. I think I did 7 days a week for about 6 years, 7 years. I was young then. I was 21, and I'd obviously still go out and hang out with my friends drinking, but then still turn up to work the next day because there was no one else there to open up your store or to help you. So you only had yourself. I think that's where I learned in my business life that all you do in this life is have yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself and you really don't back yourself and actually create a little bit of, I feel like I've got maybe a little bit of anger in myself to prove everyone wrong, that, from the school teachers to everyone else that basically said I couldn't do it because I can't spell, read and write. And when I was in year 5, they sent me to a special school where special kids went. I wasn't actually at my normal school. So I think for a portion of my life, I think after being put down for so many years, you create a little bit of anger where you want to prove to people wrong. So I think I use that as my fuel to kind of then push myself really hard. And I still do it. I still use that as my fuel every single day to drive, because in business and when you're out there and you're working hard, it's really easy to feel sorry for yourself. And I've learned not to do that. I've actually bought myself a violin. It's in my other office that I leave on the desk there. So every time someone starts to give me a story, I just what do you want me to do? And I just pull the violin out, because I just feel like, I feel like everyone, my saying is everyone has a story, because everyone does have a story. And I feel like people play the violin for themselves. So, okay, so that's my second shop. And then I started on a bit of a roll, and then opened up my third store and kicked ass in the third store. I'm like, I can do anything after I ran my Tuggerah store, because my Tuggerah store was a disaster. So I just kept going for it. So then we opened up a couple more stores in New South Wales, a couple of more stores then we opened up 3 stores in Queensland. And then we just kept on rolling through. And then at that stage, I've actually run a couple of businesses. At that stage, I started a business called Santa's Little Painters. And it's those Christmas balls that you write your name on and you put glitter. So I did that for around about 4 years, and I licensed that product out throughout New South Wales and Queensland. And then that got a little bit too much because I was selling Christmas balls while selling phone covers in Christmas, and that was pretty crazy. So I thought life wasn't complicated enough, so we opened up a childcare. So I own a childcare called My Little Sunshine. Just finished renovating that over the weekend, so that's pretty cool. And then so basically all the formulas that I've used with any of my businesses that I've actually done is the same formula. The formula is you go in at 100%. I go in so hard that sometimes some people get scared that work around me or that are usually I'm coming up against. Sometimes it could be in meetings with people that are saying no to me. And I really believe in you need to be so 100% committed to what you're doing. It should scare people. Or when people are talking to you, they're like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. And I feel like that's one of the biggest tricks that I've got in my book, because I walk into meetings and people are straight away on the back foot. They want it, like, regardless on what it is, if it's with Westfield's big organizations, if it's with suppliers, if it's with anyone, if you go in 100% and you're committed to what you're saying and actually have fact with what you're saying, people, they can't challenge you because that is fact. And when people see that you believe in what you're saying, they start to believe in what you're saying. So over the last couple of years, grew Phone King. Phone King has around about 100 staff at the moment. And we have 13 stores. We are starting to do a bit of a franchise system at the moment, plus a profit share system with some of our staff that have been in the business for a very long time. So anyone that's been in the business for a while that I really believe in, that's young and up and coming, I really kind of wanted to start sharing my business knowledge with them and start giving young people opportunities that maybe I lacked or nobody gave me when I was younger. So I've started doing that. So recently I've just signed over 3 shops to a profit share scenario that staff members that have been with me for quite a while that I want to see succeed, other than just being as a store manager. So they now sit basically as a partner in the store with me, but the responsibility for the store is 100% theirs. So started to try and give people more responsibility at the same time watching them succeed. Then opened up another business 2 years ago because I thought that was a great idea, called The Muse Co. It's in Surrey Hills, and it's an office space that it's like hot desking where you can walk in, but not like every other hot desking place that you go into. They're really big and they're a bit like you walk in there, there's just no feeling in that place at all. So we designed this place and we won a couple of awards for it recently for best co-working space in Sydney and New South Wales. I think we won an Australian one too. Same motto. Went in there, had no idea about office desks and hot desking, but the same motto. If you go in 100% and detail, so many people lack detail. Like, to me, little details, like things that people most probably think I'm going mad over, they're the most important things. So because people lack detail, so I really believe that detail is where the success is. Wow.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. Is everyone hearing this? This guy is 21.
No.
Sorry, it was 21. He's 35. But at 21, he started something that in 14 years, he now has, what does he have? 13 stores with Phone King, a Christmas bauble business, a childcare centre, and seriously, the most phenomenal workspace I've seen. We've looked at it for doing events, and it is absolutely beautiful. It is a space you walk into and you just feel like, oh, wow, I could totally turn this into anything I wanted it to be, and it would feel right for whatever business I wanted to bring here. So what I'd like to know, Abe, is you've told us a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal life, like, family, your wife, the exciting news that's coming up?
I don't want to sound silly, but I've got another company that I run called Skywalkers Australia. If you look it up, it's those hoverboard ones, the on the news forum. So we just unpacked a container. It's a full online business, but our warehouse where we did drop shipping from was too busy to fulfill our orders. So today we just had a 40-foot container turn up, and we just unpacked 600 Skywalkers into our warehouse. It was fun. I haven't done it in ages, but like unpacking a full container. So we just did that this afternoon. So that was my afternoon unpacking a container because we've got a full online business called Skywalkers. Have a look at it. It's pretty cool. I can't believe we're still selling them, but it's an amazing brand, and we're one of the leaders in Australia selling that brand.
That's so exciting. So tell us a little bit about your personal life.
Personal life. What do you mean by personal life? Because there's a couple of areas that I can go into.
So a little bit about the kind of family you grew up in, a little bit about perhaps your wedding, because your wedding was pretty spectacular.
Amazing, yeah.
And the news that's coming up in a few weeks.
Okay, so personal life, what I can say to you is there's a couple of areas, personal life. There was a certain time in my business career where like I can sit here and talk about all these goals that I've kicked. But business is tough. I went through a really bad stage of really bad depression or anxiety, and it nearly crumbled me at one stage. And it was really, really, really hard because some days when you wake up and you're working for yourself and you've got like I call it the lonely spot at the top, because, you know, you wake up in the morning, all you've got is yourself. You know, you don't have no one else to reach out to. You know, there's problems around you. Nobody really understands if it's your partner or not. You know, you're really just sitting there by yourself. You go home, you know, you're still dealing with it by yourself. You wake up in the morning, it's back there again. So I was actually very lucky to go through a stage of my life that I had severe anxiety. And why I say lucky is because when you're at rock bottom, I think that's where you learn to come up to like you can't get any further than rock bottom. And I feel like there's some strength when you're at rock bottom because there's only one way and it's up. From there, you can't get any lower. So I feel like that helped me because it built a bit of scar tissue for me, and a bit of resilience and a little bit more of, you know, fight back into me. And it showed that I could most probably cope with a lot more things than I thought I could, because, you know, while you're buying fast cars and you're running a business and you think you're on top of the world, you know, there's more to business and there's more to life than just sometimes just making money. So I feel like you need to find the real reasons why you're making money, because after you've bought your fast car and gone on your holidays, there's going to be a point that looks at you in the eye and go, what am I really doing? And why am I really doing it? And I feel like that in my personal life, I had to figure that out real fast. So that was a pretty deep time in my life. And I was really lucky at that time. My partner was with me. We've recently been married. And she stood by me through that. But we got married around about a year ago. And now in 4 weeks' time, or maybe 1 week, or maybe tonight, we're expecting a baby. So God knows what happens from here. So I'm working my way around it because I feel like I know everything about work and stuff. And now I'm like, baby, I've got to put a pram together tomorrow. So I'm stressed out about it.
That'll be one of the biggest challenges, putting that pram together, but it won't be nearly as hard as when they're older and you have to put together a trampoline on Christmas Eve. Anyone who's done that knows that is the biggest challenge ever. So what I might do, Abe, if it's okay with you, is I might actually hand it over to Joel. He'll ask you a few more questions.
Yeah. I can't hear you, Joel.
You're still on mute.
Oh, did you? I don't know how I did that. I muted and unmuted myself. Okay. Thanks, mate, for jumping on. Like, this has been outstanding. Like, the story that you've shared has just been huge, and like I just appreciate it so much. So
thank you. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Mate, you're a natural. You could start another business doing this, hey?
Please, no more.
We'll let you get over the arrival. So yeah, congratulations on that too, mate. So,
Thank you.
oh, we got to mute some people. Barbie, you got to mute yourself.
Doing it.
Hi, Bobby.
It's okay. Mate, I usually just ask some questions, but like some of these questions have really resonated with me because like I've got a history in business. So I just want to get like clarity on something. Like, how many hours a week did you work when you started? Like if you could put a number on it. I know you probably didn't count, but
I think it'd be easier to say, when wasn't I working? And I know I'm not trying to sound cool by saying that. Like, when you're really passionate about what you do, like you start to, it's not even work. Like I lay in bed now and I start researching what's the newest gadgets, or I'll start looking on other people's Instagrams and trying to see what trends are happening. You're not, it's not just working, like physically working, but you actually start to find yourself in a state where you start thinking about things. When you see something, you start thinking, how can that happen in my business? It's not about working always as working or actually being there, but your mind is switched on. So for instance, we do phone repairs, and we do these brochures now. So we give a customer, so if you've broken your telephone, we'll give you a pamphlet about what's wrong with your telephone. So I found that when I was at the doctor's surgery, and when you sit there at the doctor's surgery, you sit there and it tells you about like diabetes, heart, or whatever it is, and they got pamphlets. And I was just sitting there one day and I was looking at the pamphlets and I'm like, oh my God, why don't I do that for the phone repair so customers know what's just happened to their telephone? So I guess what I'm saying, and then you'll say every phone shop does that now, but that just came from sitting at the doctor's. So what I mean, there's work. So I was doing 7 days a week, guaranteed work, because I was turning up 7 days a week. But then past that, my mind was thinking about work. And it wasn't thinking about just working, but it's how do I perfect what I'm doing? So, and it's just little things and being aware of your surroundings, because there's so many other things that people are doing out there that you can most probably implement into what you're doing that could improve what you're doing 10 times more. And it's just the little things.
Mate, thank you very much.
Your answer is 7 days a week, and whenever your brain's on, I was on.
That was great, yeah. So, like, tell me a little bit more about the dyslexia, because, like, we've got lots of, like, mums on, and yep. we're actually predominantly, a lot of us are in the health and wellness industry, and, you know, like, I just want to ask you a question, like, what message do you have to people that are families that are dealing with it, whether it be mums, maybe children? What advice would you have for the families out there that are dealing with that?
I think, you know, having someone like, I own a childcare now, like I was saying earlier, and what I've realised is part of the new curriculum, talking to the teachers there, they're starting to work more on pathway finding. So starting to realise what a kid's really good at and starting to try and enhance that. And that's what they're really starting to push through the education system at the moment. Perfect. There needs to be more of that. But if you know, always keep, like, you know, I had a tutor for everything. I had a learner, reader, writer. I think always keep pushing for them to try and learn. Don't ever just give up on it, but don't make that your primary focus. You know, if they're good at other things, find things that they're good at. Find ways that you can enhance the good things. Because right now I can't spell, and when I say I can't spell, like I still get confused between the theirs and the he's, and I cannot spell at all. I'm really, really not joking. I'm not trying to talk it up. Like, I reckon my spelling ability is maybe a 9-year-old. Like it's really, really, really bad. But what I don't do in those areas really well, I load myself up on other things, and, you know, working your way around things, you know, like YouTube for me is life. Like, if I don't know something, I research. Like my phone, I've got Siri on it, and I just talk to it 24/7. Like, people think I'm weird because when I'm like sitting down at a restaurant with my friends or my family or whatever, I'll be like say I'm looking up big fish. I'm like, big fish, and I'm like, what are you saying? I'm like, oh fuck it, I can't explain this. But like I just say random words that I can't spell to my telephone. So people just think I'm going insane, but that's just the way I need it. If I can't talk to my telephone, I still remember I was in Africa a couple of years ago and there was no internet. I had a meltdown and basically started crying. And it's the first time I really openly cried in front of my wife, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I feel like I'm locked in a place and I can't communicate. My voice to text isn't working. I can't type. I don't voice to text is life to me. So if I'm writing someone a message, I just talk it through." I felt like I was trapped, and literally, there was no internet, so I had no way to communicate. And that was a pretty big thing for me to realize actually how trapped I was in my body, because I couldn't talk to people. So I would say to the mums out there, focus on the good things, focus on the things that they're good at. I wouldn't spend too much time focusing on the bad things, because, unless they're going to start seeing improvement, I'd really spend more time trying to enhance the things that they're good at, or start trying to teach them different ways to do things. Or shortcuts. Teach them how to figure out shortcuts. If they're not good at something, the best skill that a parent could teach a kid is, how do you get around it? If you have this problem and you can't fix that, let's move around and let's try and teach the child on an easier way to help himself in the future to get around that. So that would be something that I would.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you, mate. So when you realised that you'd made it, you'd made the money, you'd had the holidays, and you bought the fast cars, and you had all that success, and you said you realised that there was more important things in business at times than making money. Could you share with us how, first of all, you found out what those things were? You obviously searched for them. How did you find them, and what are some of those things?
I found it the hard way. Like I said to you, when I went through my really severe anxiety, and at the time I didn't realise it was anxiety is a part of depression. That at that stage I had money, I had everything I kind of wanted in life, but I realised, and I came up with it, you ask someone that doesn't have money, what would you do? Would you be happy if I give you money? And they say yes. And then most of the times you ask anyone that's made money, would you give your money away to be happy? And most of the times they'll say yes. And it's kind of this weird thing that they both kind of work against each other. So what I've been trying to do over the last couple of years is actually really spend more time trying to center myself and do things. Making money is what business is about. So you can't ever walk away from that. That's the scoreboard. That's what business is about. You can't just go, hey, don't make money because it doesn't make you happy. That's the scoreboard. But you got to do other little things that can make you happy. And I believe giving, spending some time giving back to people, or coaching people, or being around people, sometimes just the little things, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day that was quite upset, and he said, "Look, I'm not really happy. I don't know what to do at work." I said, "Do you remember when we were younger, we used to prank call each other because we didn't have credit in our telephones?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do remember that." I'm like, "When was the last time you did that?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "When was the last time you checked your phone bill to see if you had credit, or checked your phone because you couldn't make a phone call?" And he goes, "Oh, I haven't done that in years." And I'm like, "And you're telling me you're upset? And you're telling me that you don't know what you're doing?" We're doing, moving forward in life isn't about where you just want to be. It could be from where you used to be to where you're going now. And that's an achievement in itself. And sometimes people actually don't realize little movements of little achievements of what you just didn't have a couple of weeks ago and what you have now is still a big improvement. So I think appreciating the little things, no matter how big they are, and give yourself a pat on the back. I hate, I feel awkward sometimes when people give me a compliment, but when no one's looking, I'm straight away, I'm like, "Yeah, mate, you killed that. Yes, yes, yes." And you will hear me sometimes in my office, I'm like, "Yeah!" And everyone's like, "What happened?" And I'm just like, "I kicked a massive goal." And I'm like, I celebrate for myself. I don't need anyone to celebrate for me, because I will be when something goes right, trust me, you'll hear me in my office. People freak out because they're like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, and one of the biggest sayings I have, and it sounds crazy, don't judge me on it, "You can't stop me," because that's one of my biggest things. I believe I'm one of those most persistent people that I'll just keep going, and you can't stop me. I don't know, answered your question, hopefully.
Oh, mate, that was gold. Well done. Hey, and you're preaching to the choir here because the mesh movement's been built off celebrate everything we do approximately right. So, yeah, we love it.
I love it. I love celebrating. Celebrate.
It's the way, mate. Attach positivity to whatever we're doing. So, yeah, so we do it more. So just to add on to that, so you're successful. You could probably live comfortably for the rest of your life without having to do too much more. Like, how do you remain motivated? Because we've got some highly successful people on the call tonight, and they could shut up shop right now and live however they wanted. When you get to there, how do you keep motivated to want to keep going? Like, what keeps you going?
Well, I think it comes down to what goals you have. Like, you know, if you have made it and you really want to be there in life and you think you can shut up shop, like maybe this might go against what you guys do or not. I'm sorry, but I'll be honest here. Like, if you don't have it in you to really keep pushing and give 100%, you're only going to do yourself out of business. I really believe some people need to know when to call it time out and go, okay, I'm done, or even just to pause and step out and then come back in. But if you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're like, oh, I can do better or I can retire, you know, sometimes do that, because sometimes saying that to yourself, you're never going to get out of that rut, because the truth is you're really just putting tickets on yourself and saying, you know, I can retire, I don't need to work. Then why are you still working? Like, you might as well just call it time out and leave, because I watch so many successful people that I know out there that don't know when to call it quits and fail and lose everything. And why? Because they get lazy, they get complacent. They don't know, they don't have that hunger that they had on the first day. You know, if you don't have that hunger and you still can't motivate yourself, maybe call it time out or just call it pause. But maybe, like, for instance, for me, I've been doing what I've been doing for 15 years nearly, okay? This morning, literally woke up, went to YouTube and listened to a motivation kind of 10-minute little mix. And I'll actually show you which one it was, because I posted it to my whole company so you guys can listen to it, because it's actually really good. It's got some really good things in there and I loved it. And like, after 15 years, I'm still like, people are like, oh, motivation, oh, it's so boring. Like, mate, they say motivation is like showering. It's recommended every day. No, just the first. Okay. It's this one here. You guys can see it. Pull it back. There you go.
Hey, what about we send that to Liz and we put it in the mesh group and we'll all watch it tomorrow as part of our homework?
It's insane. Yeah? I watched it this morning. It was the best. And I came to work pumped. Like, because you sometimes need that. So if you keep saying, oh, I can retire, Norris, but if not, use the little tools around you that are for free to motivate yourself. You know, surround yourself by people that are motivated is one of the biggest things I can say. Second thing is YouTube. I love YouTube. Like, type in and just listen to it. And it doesn't mean that, you know, there might be that one little phrase that they might say in that video that might not relate to you. But if you take one thing out of every single video you watch, you've already learned one thing. Everyone's out there trying to achieve so much information, but just take one thing out of the video. Get it to inspire you just a little bit more for that day, and you've already picked the goal. So I would say YouTube videos all day long. And Ken has just put it into the chat there. So watch that, guys, because it's amazing. So to stay motivated, for the guys that aren't motivated, are you really there yet? Because I don't know if I'm really there yet. Like, yes, I can most probably retire right now and not work another day in my life. But am I really there yet? No, I'm not. Because I've got a thing where I like to really test the boundaries. And when that next 10%, I really believe I kick in the last 10%, where it's easy and it's all smooth sailing. You know, that's the boring stuff. You know, you can do that. You just churn through. That's that last 10%. You need to get so passionate about what you do and have fun doing it. If you can't have fun at work and you can't enjoy what you're doing, you're going to most probably like really hate doing what you do. Like, I turn up to work in shorts every single day. Like, I love it. Like, I have to take my baseball cap off for this, but I wear a baseball cap most of the time too, because you need to have fun with what you do. If you make work boring, yes, you're going to hate it, but at least smile and do whatever you do and enjoy it. If you play, like, I'm going to go off on a rant here. Do you mind?
Go for it, mate.
Okay, so my sales strategy. I'm going to tell you when I sell, this is my game in my head. Who's played Mario Kart before? I'm sure everyone has. Okay, so Mario Kart is about hitting all the mushrooms. So for me, in selling, you need to upsell, you need a suggestive sell, you need a cross sell, then you got to do all the rest. So when I'm selling, I play a game of Mario Kart. So in my head, I'm talking to the customer, and then I'll be like, okay, have you seen our screen guards? Ding, like hit a mushroom. So I try and hit as many mushrooms in my head as possible, or coins or whatever. So while I'm talking, I need to try and introduce as many products. And then I have a game with my staff. I'm like, okay, let's see how many products. And then it's just how you can join the conversation. I'll be like, oh, yes, how's your day been? Very good. Oh, it's raining outside. Have you seen the new car cradles? Because it's 10 points if you lose your, like, you need to, because you need to talk about the product because you know it's going to help them. But how do you talk about it? So I introduce the game in my head and I try and say, how many things can I talk about? And as I continue the conversation, sometimes I can only get to 2. Sometimes I can get to 10. But I guess if you can create that game in your head and turn work into a game, you have fun.
So, who's going to have a lot more fun this week on the Blitz sessions while they're playing Mario Kart? Come on, guys! That was awesome. I think it was the best tip I've ever heard in my life, and I'm all around the world.
Yeah, so you've got to hit as many of those things as possible. So that's the trick.
That was brilliant, mate. I got a couple more questions. And I really I'm mindful of your time, and once again, I appreciate it. But just want to, for people that might be listening to this down the track and they're trying to get themselves up off rock bottom, or after a big setback, how do you bounce back? What's your strategy to bouncing back and really getting into that last 10% again, other than playing Mario Kart?
Mate, bouncing back is tough. I think, everyone can always say, mate, come on, get on with it, or try and push you on with it. I feel like it's something that you need to create yourself. I don't think everyone can tell you what to do, how to do it, and get off your ass and do it, or, it's okay. I think when you're at rock bottom, you kind of need to stack those bricks yourself, and you've got to slowly be able to, someone hold you accountable to sometimes you doing what you want to do, but start changing the momentum. So potentially going for walks. I really believe walking was a really big one for me, because it really just started helping me start my day. And just taking every day, don't rush. If you are at rock bottom, don't rush, but make sure you're actively doing something every day to improve the situation. So don't just sit there and feel sorry for yourself, because I've got a saying that, when you're at a pity party, you're the only person sitting at the table. And when you're actually having a party, everybody's at the party. So I think nobody ever wants to, there's no point having a pity party for yourself, but identifying and recognizing that there is a problem is really powerful. And then the next step is slowly adding small things to your days till you slowly get up to a point where you can get past that. So I think it's small little pieces that you can add, either walking, maybe eating a little bit healthier, or it could be just going to see friends, being around people. Small things that can make you feel better, small things daily, will help you end up getting to where you need to be in a week, 2 weeks, 1 month's time. So the small things consistently.
Mate, thank you again. That was a fantastic answer. Who's loving this? Can you guys put it in the chat? Come on, show Abe some appreciation. He's kicking butt. And it's his first go, so I'd like to see him in a year's time of doing this all the time. Be Tony Robbins. It's so funny. Mate, if you had a superpower, what would it be? Or if you could pick one, what would you want to have?
A superpower.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, because I always see these things on Instagram saying if you blue pill, red pill, $1 million, this pill or this pill. I'm kind of happy where I am, because I've kind of created this monster, slowly stacking these little hurt lockers and all the things that have made who I am today. And I'm kind of happy with the kind of weirdo I've become. and I just don't know if I need anything else, because I think it would overcomplicate my life a little bit more if I had a superpower. So I'd actually say none to superpowers. I'm kind of happy with the weirdo I've become.
Amazing. So your superpower is actually being a weirdo. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, mate. Like, this is the last question. We can open up to other people, or like I'll pass it back to to Liz. But mate, if you had a billboard that the entire world could see, what would your message to the world be?
Take a seat, sit back. The ride has only just begun.
That's so good, mate. Thank you very much. I'm going to mute and shut up. But from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you, Liz. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Abe. So those of you who know me will understand why we got on so well when we first met. But I want to just remind you of some of the stuff that Abe has just said. You know, he has a violin. So maybe that's not a bad idea. Like, I tend to do this and say, what is this? This is the world's smallest violin playing for you.
Yeah.
And if you can give the violin to yourself, like gift yourself the violin and get yourself out of that pity party, that's going to just drive you forward, which is awesome. I also love, Dave, that you said you have yourself, you create yourself, back yourself. And that's exactly what we need to do. He really does have a violin. That's great. But something I wanted to mention about the way that we met, you know, we met on a plane. And yeah. I want to highlight to people, you know, whether you are, whatever kind of sales you're in, and all business is sales, let's face it, whether you're selling products, selling yourself, selling ideas, it's all sales. If you get on a plane and you don't say hello to the person sitting next to you, then what are you missing out on? Because look at the value that this amazing guy has just brought all of us, all because I said, hey, who are you? What are you writing on your sick bag? Now, those networking qualities are so important. And, you know, for all of you, if you get on a plane and you're that person who puts your headphones on and sits there and turns your eyes down and shuts the blind and goes to sleep, you might be missing out on some of the most phenomenal people that you'll ever meet in your life. And Abe is someone who has invested in me emotionally. Like, he just rang me out of the blue one day and said, you know, I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And for me, that coming from someone who, you know, I see as fairly famous in terms of Australian business, you know, that was massive for me. It really changed the way that I leveled up my business. And I think when he mentioned, you know, and he actually did that right before I ran one of our first retreats. I think Carol was there with me. And it was exactly what we needed to just go, yes, you know, we've really got this, we can do this. But imagine if I didn't say hello on the plane. So what I want to do now is just open it up to a few questions. If anyone, we can maybe, do you want to record on or off, Joel? I don't mind. But we can open the floor and just get people to ask questions. Is that okay, Abe, if you take a few questions?
Yeah, go.
Awesome. I'll put myself on mute. Put your hand. Oh, I can't see everyone. Joel, maybe you can do this bit from you can see everyone. Is that okay?
Yeah. Who's putting their hand up? Oh, Linda. Linda Evening, you can take yourself off mute.
Can you see she's not here?
Yeah, I can.
You can? I didn't know. I thought maybe in my video only I can see it. It's her name. I could read her name. Abe, thank you so much, mate. Awesome. So many things. You know, the first, what it was, I won't go into the first thing I wrote down, but it was customer service is so simple. Don't overcomplicate it. So smart. Yeah. Thank you. On that, with your businesses, let's say you're obviously recruiting team, what would be a couple of the top few things that if you could get new team in the first week, 2 weeks, month, whatever their make or break period is, if you can get them through, what are you teaching them? What are you hoping they remember? And just what are the, you know, the bare bones to get through beginner to, hey, you're part of the team?
I'll answer new teams in two parts. First part is when I hire people, I try not to go for your standard, you know, high performer kind of person where why I say that is because they usually tend to kind of think they know everything, or when the times get tough, or when you kind of need to push hard for either trying to achieve something, they're very like, oh, this is not for me, out. I try and look for the guys that usually haven't had a break either in getting a job, or kind of that person where you think, you know what, I can invest some time in that person, and they will take what you're saying. So when I'm looking for people, I'm looking for people that aren't sure. Like I'll still usually take that person that will kind of come in on the good resume, but I'm more usually face to face in communicating, trying to find someone that's got that, when you talk to them, that right energy. So when you do teach them, you teach them about being a good person, being sincere. When you talk to someone, now I've got this saying at work saying, I know it's crazy, we sell phone covers, but we have the power to change someone's day, because communication and teaching the way when you talk to people, I think society's kind of lost a little bit of that kind of, when you talk to someone, everybody sells, but what I talk to people about is being engaged. Like you, me, that's it. Like, so when you're trying to train people, trying to find people that will actually listen to, actually taking tips to engaging, and not just saying that they're being there for a job, or just like, it's just a job for me, because you'll find that they will never give your customers or your people that engagement. And a customer knows that straight away. When they get spoken to and just getting given a sales spill and there's no serious engagement, they pick it straight away and then it's done. You know, so for me, the things that I teach people is engagement. Engagement's key. It's not just the sales pitch for me. It's very simple engagement. And treat customers with respect, and try throw a joke in here and there. Try and change people's day, because everyone out there is fighting a battle, and I say everyone's got a story, but they do. And most of the times, if you can have a bit of a cheeky laugh with a customer or a person when you're talking to them, that customer doesn't become just a customer, it becomes a loyal customer, because they actually believe in what you're saying and they like dealing with you. So I think personality training, you can't train personality, but just teaching people how to work with their own personality, I think, is a really important thing.
Wow. Dude, that was awesome. Thank you. Halfway through, I thought I better start writing this down.
Sorry.
No, that was brilliant, and, I'm hearing things that I can apply so much in my business, and certainly, for the team on that, that's it. It is those people that, have, desire. Desire trumps everything at the end of the day, doesn't it?
And it does. And I'll tell you this, between all the businesses I run, I've got over 120 staff. They don't work for me. I work for them. And I think the faster you realize that you work for them and that you're there to support them a lot of the times, and in turn, most of the times they support you back. But as a business owner or a leader, you are the first person that makes the first step. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. The people that think other people are going to make the first step, then you make the step, it just doesn't happen. You need to be in control. And if you are in control and you're a true leader, you will be the first person to make the steps. You're the person that actually there to support them. You're the person that's there to coach them. And not every single, like if there's a couple of stuff ups at the beginning, don't judge on that straight away. Use that as, okay, everybody makes a mistake. Be a real person when you're dealing with staff or team members. And in turn, that's how you get loyal and people that respect what you do.
Beautiful. Who else? Who's next?
James, you got another one, mate, or got another one in yours? Ready for move on?
Well, someone else will have a question, I'm sure.
Who has a question? I can see no one. Hang on. Anyone? I've flipped the page. James, I guess you're up, mate.
Okay, well, I got one more. I was thinking this before. So, management, you've obviously, hugely successful, but you're very honest with the skill set you did and didn't start out with. You must have certainly developed a lot of skills, over the time. What was one that, in reflection, you may not have had that you learned, I better get that one? And sort of what were some of the stepping stones in actually really, getting on board with that management trait or key trait?
I think I didn't. I think it's a basic one, but I didn't have patience. And it took a while for me to develop patience, because sometimes when you're pushing so hard and you don't have the patience, you can actually ruin everything that you're actually trying to create. And I think sometimes patience is actually a really important thing, because, you know, you never know when it's just going to happen or things start to work. And being impatient can have more damage on your business than anything that you ever do.
Buddy, give me goosebumps.
Sorry.
That's a good thing. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, man.
That was amazing. Is there anyone else that's got a question?
There's a question from Christine. What are some things apart from Mario Kart that you implement to create a strong team culture? Can you share some tips around how you engage your staff?
So we sell in the business. So other than Marek, engagement. So for me, engagement with my staff, I try and be available for them. We've got group chats. So in my business, WhatsApp I use for my personal, and for the business I use Viber. So I've got a lot of my staff and all my leadership team and all that are all in Viber groups. And so I always try to be front facing to them and always just throw them a message, good morning, have a silly joke with them. So being available is my first trick. Other than Mario Kart, my other trick that I have is I usually grab a product. Let's just call it the chewing gum right now. And while the person's in front of me, the team member's in front of me, I throw the product to them, and then they got to throw it back to me, and then I tell them to sell the product to me. And then they're freaking out. They're like, why am I doing this? And I'm like, come on, keep selling it to me. And my trick is if you can catch something and throw something at the same time, you got your hands in your mouth talking at the same time, and you can talk about a product, you know your product very well. And I can say that most of the times that you grab a product and you start throwing it and go, sell me this product, and you just keep trying to throw it to each other, they can't say it fast enough because they don't know it enough. So I think knowledge and games, introducing games into a business is always my trick. I always have sales competitions too. Right now, we're in the middle of a competition that we're going through, that we're giving away trips overseas for all our team leaders. So store managers and so on get a trip overseas paid for by the business. So engagement in little things. I think when you start to run a business and you don't allow people to buy in and feel like they're a part of it, they leave and they don't become a part of it.
Outstanding. That's amazing.
A big thing that I do is share a lot about my history and be very clear with them about some of the things that I've done and that how bad my situation is. And then they see it because they think I'm joking. And then when I start sending messages in the Viber groups, they all piss themselves laughing about how bad I could spell and like some of the words that I say. Like, so so being true, I think helps. So.
Amazing. Okay, so do we have any other questions? All right, well, Abe, thank you so much. Oh, we got one. Elizabeth's put a hand up. Come on, Liz.
I just have to, because I ask a question every week. So I would like to know, with your work versus your relationship with your beautiful pregnant wife, how do you balance? And I know we've spoken about work-life balance before and talked about the fact that it's just life, but how do you balance that time that your family's going to need with the time that your businesses need?
I'll answer this honestly because it was only like 2 weeks ago I was at a baby class and we had to do 2 6-hour things at the hospital, and I was texting in the middle of the class, and at that time that the lady had given us this baby to my wife to hold so we could change its nappy, and she threw the baby at me because I was texting in the middle of the class. Didn't throw it at me, but threw it on my lap and my phone fell on the floor. And I'm like, oh no. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I've got a massive problem at work that I need to fix. So switching off is hard. I still find it hard. But sometimes switching off properly and not being able to be contactable. So like turning off your phone or leaving your phone in the car if you're going for dinner. Because most of the problems that we face as business people, we think that it's a massive problem. We're like, oh my God, I need to answer it right now. But most of the time they can wait. But, you know, while you're sitting there and you can see things coming through, you know, you want to deal with everything right there and then. And you think it's the end of the world. But I can tell you 9 times out of 10, it's not the end of the world. You can wait another 2 hours. So, yeah, so hide your phone in the car. And that's what I've been doing recently. It works really well.
That's awesome. That's something that I know both Joel and I have done recently, where we've just turned the phone off or hidden the phone and just done whatever we need to do. I went out for dinner with Simon one night, no phone. It was great. So
it's weird the things you can find out about your partner when you don't have a phone in front of you.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions? I can't see again, Joel, so just tell me if there is.
So far, I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Do you want to finish it off?
I don't know. Let's go. I'll have another go. Abe, thank you very much. Like, tonight was outstanding. The value that you've given our group, like, and the time you've given has just been sensational. Like, I'm hearing so many things that I've learned from Grant Cardone. You're nailing them. It's just it's just blowing my mind. So, yeah, like I wish you all the best in the future, and I can't wait to see you have like 126 stores, mate.
Mate, what are you doing? I'm losing my hair already. Mate, look, consistency. You just got to stay consistent, and I think consistency beats everything all day long. And just keep going. You know, although it's boring sometimes, or you have your problems, consistency. Because what they're saying, if you keep pushing, you will get through. So it's, you know, you just got to keep going and work smarter sometimes. People think in that thing that you that I put up on that YouTube, it says so many people are so busy but not achieving much. You know, when you do work, make sure you're achieving at those points. So many people go to work and say that they're working, but I don't think they're achieving that much. So just make sure that when you are working, make sure you're kicking some serious goals. But, you know, don't be one of those people that walks into an office or sits down and does all this stuff and doesn't achieve anything. That is got to be the worst thing. You know, you can get like done 2 hours worth of work, what most people do in 8 if you concentrate. So that's one of my key things.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, mate. And thank you everyone for joining. I really appreciate your time. And we'll see you this time next week.